You know that feeling when you're sitting in a car dealership and the salesperson walks away with your paperwork? You're just sitting there in that little glass office waiting, and you can see them talking to their manager through the window, nodding, looking back at you, nodding again. Then they walk back in with this huge smile and they're like, "Great news, you're approved." And for a second, you feel this wave of relief like, "Oh, thank God I'm approved. I'm getting the car." Then they slide the paper across the desk and you see the number $650 a month. And your stomach just drops. But you don't say anything because everyone has a car payment, right? This is just how it works. So what do? You sign. Fast forward 2 years, you're still making that 650 payment. Insurance is another 180, gas is 200, and you haven't been able to save a single dollar for an emergency fund. It's safe to say the car owns you, man. You don't own the car. My name is Richard, and I teach what schools never taught us about money. I spend way too much time researching financial psychology and why some people build wealth effortlessly while others stay stuck for decades. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to Money Introduction if this video helps you view money differently. Now, before we get into the topic, imagine you're at lunch with your coworkers and everyone's complaining about being broke, like literally everyone. "Man, I can't afford to go out this weekend." "Yeah, I'm tapped out until payday." "Dude, same." But then you all walk out to the parking lot and you see a brand new SUV, a lifted truck, a nice sedan with the temporary tags still in the window. Someone's paying $740 a month for that SUV. Another guy financed that truck at 11% interest. Everyone got approved. Everyone's making it work. But nobody can afford to take a vacation. Nobody's saving. Nobody's investing. And you start thinking, wait, how is everyone affording these cars? Am I the only one struggling here? Then it hits you. Nobody's affording them. Everyone's just paying. But here's where things get interesting. In 2025, the average new car payment is about $745 a month. For a used car, it's around $521. And here's the scary part. Most people taking home $3,000 to $4,000 a month are spending nearly 20% of their entire paycheck just on the car payment alone. That doesn't even include insurance, doesn't include gas, doesn't include the oil changes or the new tires or the surprise repair that shows up out of nowhere. Just the payment. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how much car your salary actually buys you, not what the bank says you can afford, not what the dealership says you qualify for, what you can actually afford without destroying your future. I'm going to give you the simple rules that keep you from becoming car poor. And I'm going to share 2 real stories. One that went horribly, horribly wrong, and one that went perfectly right. Let's start with the one that went wrong. So here's a message I got from a viewer a few months ago. And when I read it, I had to stop and just sit with it for a second. Because it's one of those stories that shows you exactly what happens when you ignore the rules. This person said, "Richard, I bought a car for $15,000 from CarMax. My credit was bad, so they gave me 25% interest. I know I was dumb to take it." 25% on a car? Let that sink in for a second. So they're making payments about $500 a month and they're doing everything right, paying on time, taking care of the car. But 2 years later, the engine dies, just gone. They take it to a mechanic and the guy's like, "Yeah, replacing this engine is going to cost you $6,000 to $8,000. $6,000 to $8,000 on a car they paid $15,000 for, so they can't afford the repair. They have no emergency fund because all their money's been going to this $500 payment every month. So they do the only thing they can do. They surrender the car back to the dealership. And here's where it gets worse. The dealership auctions the car off, sells it for whatever they can get. Then they send this person a letter. "You still owe us $18,000. $18,000, more than the car originally cost." So let me say this clearly. This person made nearly $500 payments every single month for 2 years, 24 months. That's about $12,000 in payments. And they ended up $18,000 in debt. No car, $18,000 in debt. Biggest mistake of their life. Their words, not mine. They said, "Don't be like me." Now, why am I telling you this story? Because this is what happens when 3 things go wrong at the same time. 1, The interest rate is insane. 25% interest on a car loan is predatory. But when your credit is bad, sometimes you feel like you don't have options. 2, the payment is too high relative to income. $500 might not sound crazy, but if you're taking home $2,500 a month, that's 20% of your income on just the car payment. And 3, there's no emergency fund. So when something goes wrong, and with cars, something always goes wrong, you have no cushion, no backup plan. And that's the car poor trap. High payment, high interest, no savings, and then one bad day and your entire financial life collapses. Here's what most people don't realize: when you're paying $700 or $800 a month on a car, you're not just losing that money to the car, you're also losing the opportunity to invest it. Like, let's say you're paying $750 a month for 6 years. That's $54,000 in total payments. 54,000 people. Now imagine if you'd bought a cheaper car and invested that extra $400 or $500 every month instead. So in 6 years, with average stock market returns, you could have $40,000 to $50,000 growing for you. But instead, it went to a car that's now worth half of what you paid. That's the real cost. It's not just the payment, it's everything you could have done with that money. So here's the thing you've been told your whole life: if the bank approved you, you can afford it. Right? Wrong. Banks will approve you for way more than you can actually handle. They'll let your total debt hit 36% or more of your income. And yeah, you can technically make the payments, but you'll be suffocating. No savings, no investing, no freedom. So if the average payment is trapping people and bank approval isn't a safety net, how do you actually figure out what you can afford? That's where these next rules come in, and I promise they're simple. All right, so let me ask you a question. If I told you there were 3 green lights, 3 simple numbers that could keep you from ever becoming car poor, would you want to know what they are? Of course you would. Because here's the thing: most people don't fail with money because they're dumb. They fail because nobody ever gave them a simple system to follow. So I'm going to give you 3 rules right now, and if you follow them, you'll never end up like that CarMax story. Never! Before I tell you the rules, let me tell you why they matter. Your car is probably the second biggest purchase you'll ever make after your house. And for a lot of people, it's the biggest monthly expense besides rent. Which means if you get this decision wrong, it doesn't just hurt you for a month, it hurts you for years, maybe a decade. But if you get it right, if you keep your car costs low and manageable, everything else gets easier. You can save for emergencies. You can pay off debt. You can start investing. You can actually build wealth. The car decision is the fork in the road. One path leads to financial stress for years. The other path leads to freedom. So here are the rules. Rule number 1, the 24/10 rule: 20% down payment, 4-year loan maximum, and total car costs, payment plus insurance, plus gas, plus maintenance, at or under 10% of your monthly take-home pay. Let me say that again because this is the most important one. Total car costs should be 10% or less of what you actually bring home every month after taxes. Not your gross salary, not what you make before taxes, what actually hits your bank account. Rule number 2, the payment rule. Your car payment by itself should be between 10 and 15% of your take-home pay. And honestly, the closer you are to 10%, the safer you are. If you're at 15%, you're skating on thin ice. If you're at 20% or more, you're in the danger zone. Rule number 3, the 50% rule. The total value of all your vehicles, so if you have 2 cars, add them together, should be less than 50% of your annual take-home pay. So if you take home $50,000 a year, you shouldn't have more than $25,000 worth of cars sitting in your driveway. Why? Because cars are depreciating assets. They lose value every single year, and if you have too much of your net worth tied up in cars, you're basically watching your wealth disappear. Okay, let me show you what this actually looks like with real numbers. Let's say you make $40,000 a year. After taxes, you're probably taking home about $2,600 a month. 10% of that is $260. That's your total car budget: payment, insurance, gas, everything. So realistically, you're looking at buying a modest used car for maybe $8,000 to $12,000. Maybe you save up and pay cash. Maybe you do a short loan with a decent down payment. But you're not financing a $30,000 car. You just can't. The math doesn't work. Now let's say you make $60,000 a year. Take home is about $3,800 a month. 10% is $380 for all car costs. So now you can afford a reliable used car in the $15,000 to $20,000 range. You put 20% down, you finance it for 4 years, and your payment is somewhere around $280 to $320 a month. Add in insurance and gas, you're right at that $380 mark. Still way below the national average. Still safe. One more. Let's say you make $80,000 a year. Take home is about $5,000 a month. 10% is $500. Now you've got room to breathe. You can get a solid compact SUV or a late model used car for $22,000 to $28,000. You're still being smart with your money, but you're not driving a beater. You see how this works? The rule scales with your income. It's not about what cars cost. It's about what percentage of your money you're willing to give up. Think about it like this. Your income is a pie. You've got slices for rent, for food, for utilities, for savings, for fun. The car is just one slice. And if that slice is so big that it's eating into all the other slices, you're going to be hungry everywhere else. You want the car slice to be small, manageable, so you can actually enjoy the rest of the pie. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Richard, those rules sound great, but cars are more expensive now. The old rules don't work anymore. And I hear that a lot. But here's what people who say that don't understand. The rules aren't about what cars cost. They're about what percentage of your money you're willing to sacrifice. A $50,000 car doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care if you want to retire early or buy a house or send your kids to college. The rule does. The rule protects you. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Richard, but what about new versus used? Should I finance, lease, or pay cash? Let me break that down for you right now. So here's the question everyone asks me, like, Richard, should I buy new or used? And the answer is, it depends, but probably used. Let me explain why. And then I'm going to show you a third option that most people never even consider, and it's honestly the smartest play if you can pull it off. All right, so here's the deal with new cars in 2025. A median compact car is about $26,800. A compact SUV is around $36,000. A full-size pickup truck? Almost $59,000. And yeah, new cars are nice. They smell good, huh? They've got all the new tech. They've got the warranty. I get the appeal. But here's what happens. The second you drive that new car off the lot, it loses value immediately. Like, in the first 3 years, a new car can lose 30 to 40% of its value. So you buy a $40,000 car, and 3 years later, it's worth $24,000. You just lost $16,000. Not because you crashed it, not because you didn't take care of it, just because. That's what cars do. They depreciate. Meanwhile, if you buy a 2 or 3-year-old used car, someone else already ate that depreciation. You're buying it at $25,000 or $30,000 instead of $40,000. And it's basically the same car. Same safety features, same reliability. You're just not paying for the new car smell. So here's the move. You buy a late model used car, 2 to 4 years old, from a reliable brand. And I'm talking about the boring brands. Lexus, Mazda, Toyota, Buick. The cars that just work. Not the flashy brands, not the ones you buy to impress people. The ones you buy because they'll still be running at 200,000 miles. Buy boring, win big. That's the motto. Now, yeah, used car interest rates are higher right now, like average is about 11 to 12%, which sounds scary. But here's the thing. If you're financing $15,000 instead of $40,000, you're still winning. Like even at 12% interest, a $15,000 car over 4 years is about $395 a month. A $40,000 car at 7% interest over 5 years is about $792 a month. You're saving $400 a month every month for years. That's the power of buying used and reliable. But here's the third option. And this is the one that changes everything if you can make it work. Instead of making car payments to a bank, you make car payments to yourself. Here's how it works. Let's say you determine that you can afford a $400 monthly car payment based on the 10% rule. Instead of going out and financing a car, you open a separate savings account. And every single month you put $400 into that account. You're making a car payment, but you're paying yourself. After 12 months, you've got $4,800. After 18 months, you've got $7,200. After 2 years, you've got $9,600. Now you walk into a dealership with cash, you buy a $10,000 reliable used car outright. Zero interest, zero debt, you own it from day one. And here's the beautiful part. If you lose your job or something goes wrong, nobody can repossess your car because it's yours, fully paid for. Let me show you the contrast here because this is important. Path 1, the disaster path. $15,000 car, 25% interest, $500 a month. 2 years later, the car dies, you surrender it, and you owe $18,000. Path 2, the smart path, $500 a month saved, 0% interest. After 18 months, you've got $9,000 cash, you buy a reliable car outright, full ownership, no debt, ever, same monthly amount, completely different outcome. The difference is patience. That's it, just patience. Now here's what nobody tells you, and this is the thing that drives me crazy. You've been told your whole life that a car payment is just part of life. Everyone has one. It's normal. But that's what banks want you to believe. The truth? A car payment is optional. Paying yourself first might take longer, but it's the only path where the car can never be taken away from you. And where every single dollar you save is actually yours. So now you know the rules. You know new versus used. You know the pay yourself first method. But here's the question nobody's asking. How does this one decision, the car you buy, affect the rest of your life 10, 15, 20 years from now? Let me show you. Because this is where it gets really interesting. All right, so I want you to imagine two people. Both of them make $60,000 a year. Same age, same job, same starting point. Person A buys a $45,000 SUV, 7-year loan, 7% interest. Monthly payment is about $650. Person B buys a $15,000 used car, either pays cash or does a short 3-year loan. Monthly payment is $0 to $300. Everything else in their lives is exactly the same. Same rent, same groceries, same lifestyle. Now let's fast forward 10 years and see where they end up. Here's why this matters. Your car decision isn't just about the car. It's about what you're giving up to have that car. Every dollar that goes to a car payment is a dollar that's not going into your emergency fund, not going into investments, not going toward paying off debt. And over time, those missed opportunities add up. Like they add up so much that 10 years later, two people with the same income can be in completely different financial situations. One person is still making car payments, still living paycheck to paycheck, still stressed about money. The other person has a paid off car and a portfolio, and they're on their way to financial independence. The only difference? One car decision. So let's go back to our two people. Person A, the one with the $45,000 SUV, they're making $650 a month for 7 years. That's 84 months. Total payments, about $54,600. But here's the thing. After 7 years, the car is paid off, but it's also worth way less now. Maybe $15,000 to $20,000. And it's starting to need repairs. So what do? They trade it in, they get a new car, they start the cycle all over again. So 10 years later, they're still making car payments. They've spent probably $70,000 to $80,000 on cars over that decade, and they've got maybe $5,000 in their investment account, if that. Now, person B, they bought the $15,000 car. Let's say they financed it for 3 years at $300 a month. After 3 years, it's paid off. Now they've got no car payment. So they take that $300 to $400 they were spending on the car, and they start investing it every single month for the next 7 years. 10 years later, they've got a paid off car that's still running fine. And they've got somewhere between $40,000 to $60,000 in their investment account. Same income, one car decision, completely different outcomes. Let me explain it this way. There are two phases to car ownership. Phase 1, You're paying the bank. This is wealth transfer out. Money is leaving your life every month and going to someone else. Phase two, you're paying yourself. The car is paid off, and now that money you were spending on payments can go toward your future. Investing, saving, building wealth. The goal is to get to phase two as fast as possible. Most people never make it to phase two. They stay in phase one forever because they keep trading in and restarting the cycle. But the people who build wealth, they get to phase two and they stay there. They keep the car for 8, 10, 12 years. No payments, just freedom. Here's the math that blows my mind every time I think about it. If you invest $500 a month for 10 years, with an average 8% return, you end up with about $91,000. Extend that to 20 years? Over $274,000. That's the cost of one car decision. That's what you're giving up when you choose the expensive car over the smart car. Your car payment isn't just costing you $500 this month, it's costing you your future freedom.